Thanks for joining us for your 5+ weekend wrap, where we're taking a look at the week's top headlines. I'm Morgan Wrigley. A Washington County woman is now the first in the county to be convicted and sentenced for aggravated death by delivery of fentanyl. Prosecutors want people to know they will prosecute fentanyl-related crimes. Take this week's historic conviction and sentencing of Christy Cawood. But while she's behind bars, a family is left grieving 40-year-old Cody Fizel, who overdosed on drugs he got from Cawood. It's a type of loss known all too well by many Arkansas families.
Basically, they're giving you a gun and saying, put it in your mouth and blow your head off.
Jenny Neville says she joined the Hope Movement Coalition advocacy group after losing her son, Clay Baker, to drug overdose 10 years ago.
Our main goal is to support families. The stigma on overdose and fentanyl deaths really can cause somebody to go into their grief.
She says statutes allowing prosecutors to charge individuals in connection with overdose deaths is helpful in curbing this issue.
The more that they can get to the people that are dealing these poisons, the more the word will get out, and it's like, Arkansas is not the place.
Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders signed into law a bill in 2023 that made aggravated death by delivery a felony in the state of Arkansas.
Prior to these statutes existing, trying to make a set of facts fit another statute to see if it even does fit another statute, it was difficult. You convey or deliver one of these substances to someone and you cause their death with it. That's very clear cut, and those elements are much clearer and easier for us to utilize when we're discussing overdose deaths.
Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Courtney Cassidy says she hopes tougher charges with harsher punishments sends a message to those thinking of distributing drugs.
These cases are being treated like the homicides that they are. They're being investigated like the homicides that they are, and no matter how many agencies that requires, I think everyone is of the same mindset that they're willing to put forth their best effort, put forth their best investigative techniques to determine who provided those drugs to the individual who died and to hold them responsible for it.
Neville says her goal now is to continue educating people about the persistent dangers of fentanyl.
We have to wake people up. We have to say, look, this is poison. This is nothing more than someone, playing Russian roulette with your family member's life.
According to the state of Arkansas House of Representatives, there were 251 deaths in 2022 where fentanyl was a contributing factor. That's more than half of all overdose deaths recorded that year. And we're learning a man who was convicted for charges. Officer Kevin Apple is now pleading not guilty in a separate case. Elijah Andazola was arrested again last month after police say he broke into a Rogers home and assaulted his pregnant wife. He's facing multiple charges, including aggravated residential burglary and third-degree assault. Andazola, who was previously accused of being an accomplice to capital murder alongside his co-defendant Shauna Cash, ended up pleading guilty to amended charges. Court records show Benton County prosecutors reopened the cases against him and filed a petition to revoke Andazola's probation. He's expected back in court next month. Well, switching now to the concern over measles. As the virus is surging in areas of the country, you may have questions on how to protect yourself. The Arkansas Department of Health confirmed that as of this report, there are 0 reported cases of measles in the state. But vaccination rates for the disease in over 50 Arkansas counties are under 95%. That's the percentage needed for herd immunity.
According to Dr. Robert Hopkins, a professor of internal medicine and pediatrics at University of Arkansas Medical Sciences, measles is the precursor to deadly illness.
Measles can cause pneumonia. It can suppress your immune system. It puts you at risk for numerous bacterial infections. And even if you recover from measles, it can damage your immune system and set you up for lifelong health problems, either with immune suppression, or you can develop recurrent neurologic disease that can be devastating and kill people.
The CDC says across 18 states, 309 cases come from West Texas. The ADH says none have been reported in Arkansas, but Dr. Hopkins says it's still wise to protect yourself.
Measles vaccination generally is given at that 12-month age group, and then again between ages 4 and 6. One dose of vaccine provides about 93 to 94% of folks full protection for life. 2 doses gets that up to around 97%.
He says if you or your child are not vaccinated, but you want to be, it's not too late.
If you happen to come see me and you'd never been vaccinated, I would recommend you get a dose of the vaccine. And that would provide you good protection. I want everybody to have that protection. I want people to have a great spring break. But the best way to do that is being healthy, by getting well vaccinated, and doing safe things with your families.
Well, UA Fort Smith is launching a new scholarship program to help get rid of financial barriers for students. The program, UAFS Guarantee, will look to cover tuition and mandatory fees after eligible students apply for grants, scholarships, and other financial aid. The program is meant for undergraduate degree-seeking students who live in Arkansas and meet specific financial aid criteria. The university says this is all about creating more opportunities.
We have about 60% of our students right now who do receive Pell Grants. So we know that this is a huge need for our students. And true to our mission, we're trying to make getting an education accessible to them.
Students do not need to submit a separate application for this program, but they will still have to complete their FAFSA and SAMS applications. Well, the Overlook on Mount Sequoia is getting a fresh new look. The popular spot to take in all the views of Fayetteville has been closed over the past couple of months for upgrades. Those include a new observation deck, new benches, and traffic calming measures. Now leaders say they're ready to reopen to the public in May.
We really want it to be a fun, festive, filled event where people can come, they can see it, they can see the mural being unveiled, and just like we'll have the fencing moved back by that time. We'll have all the security cameras installed, all the pieces of the project all coming together.
The project was funded by the Walton family and Project for Public Spaces. Well, a local post on social media with the hashtag Justice for Mr. Chow has gone viral. Chow Win, he's a former greeter at a Fayetteville Walmart, recently fired after nearly 11 years on the job. Now, some customers are outraged, confused, demanding he get his job back. While Mr. Chow opened up to 5 News reporter Rachel Williams to set the record straight on just what happened and if he'll ever be able to greet customers again.
If you have ever shopped at Walmart on MLK in Fayetteville, you probably know former Walmart greeter Mr. Chow. He worked there for over a decade, spreading positivity.
Be confident in yourself. Not enough. It needs the most positive manner.
Until recently when he was fired. But he says there's a reason why.
I stopped a girl student. She's still very young. I asked her to let me see her receipt. She did it. I have a look at the receipt, only 14 items on that list. But at a quick sight, I realized that the total number of items in her cart did not fit this amount. Almost over at least 20.
According to Walmart's policy, employees cannot detain or harass customers suspected of shoplifting, and they have a no-touch policy. And Mr. Chow admits this wasn't his first time violating procedure.
I hold her cart, but she walked away, back and forth, till the outside of Walmart. But it's my way, okay? I cannot give up. Okay, so I still hold the cart to the car.
In retrospect, Mr. Chow acknowledges that he was wrong and should have complied with policy.
I did the right thing, okay, but not at the right time and not the right way. I know. From the bottom of my heart, I'm 1% responsible over my doing. Okay, I don't blame to customers or to Walmart. No, it's my own action.
Now, we did reach out to Walmart to get its side of the story, and a spokesperson declined to comment. Since Mr. Chow was fired, some customers have started a petition to help him get his job back.
As soon as we can get him back in there, if Walmart will listen, let's give him his shot back. It won't be the same without him.
Local resident Ruby Edens is the one who created the popular Facebook post shared thousands of times about Mr. Chow being fired.
As long as I can remember, Mr. Chow's been the one at the door. My kids recognize him when we walk in, and he's just the, immediate sight. So I was hoping the algorithm would snatch onto it and do its thing, but I never expected it to do what it did.
Edens understands rules are rules, but she and those online are hoping he gets another chance.
You know, sometimes you got to bend those rules a little bit. And when he's put this much commitment into your company, and you literally fired him because of his commitment to your company. He saw your money walking out the door, and I understand, I do. I've been in management for a decade, but there's a time we have to make that call. I think he's worth that extra step.
It comes from the bottom of my heart. Okay. Thanks so much for your appreciation, for your support, my dear customer.
In Fayetteville, covering news where you live, Rachel Williams, 5 News.
Meanwhile, a Buffalo National River employee who was laid off as part of the federal government downsizing now has her job back. We first introduced you to Stacey Ramsey last month. In a Facebook post, Ramsey confirmed that she got her job back after a ruling ordered the rehiring of thousands of federal workers impacted by mass firings. The Trump administration is asking the Supreme Court to halt that ruling, saying the judge can't force the executive branch to rehire more than 16,000 probationary employees. Well, spring has arrived and warmer temperatures are ramping up. With those higher temps comes, of course, summer attire. And while Seven Hills has plenty of warm jackets, coats, hats, and scarves, they do need some lighter clothing to feel comfortable this season, especially for men. That's why they're asking for donations to their summer closet and pantry.
Seven Hills says they help around 75 to 150 people experiencing homelessness every day, and 75% of that group are men. Director of Development Christina Andazola says the men's section of their closet is in dire need of donations, while the women have a full rack of jeans, tops, and shoes.
Our current urgent needs are things like men's shoes, all sizes. We need jeans size 28 to 40 waist, 30 to 32 length. We also need belts of all sizes, men's boxers of all sizes, t-shirts, shorts.
Clothing isn't the only necessity during the spring and summer months. Andazola says many of their visitors experience dehydration in the summer heat.
We see it quite often, and that's why we like to have the water bottles on hand and electrolytes. We give them out every day, all day long during hot weather. Also bug spray, and then we also need dog leashes.
Andazola's hope is the 66-bed overnight shelter will serve as a place to keep visitors out of the heat overnight. It's been 1 year since the grand opening, and they currently have 48 nightly guests.
There's lots of improvements to be made, and we're taking it one step at a time, working with our city, the city of Fayetteville. What we really need are people to sign up for weekend meals. And I share a Sign Up Genius on our social media pages every week, having people to sign up for those meals.
Seven Hills says that they've set a goal of $100,000 for NWA Gives Day. That's coming up on April 3rd. In the meantime, feel free to take any men's clothing or bug spray, sunscreen, water, also dog leashes down to the Day Center off of School Avenue in Fayetteville. Well, in Fort Smith, they're looking to address traffic and pedestrian concerns in the city through some new safety measures. 5 News reporter Jacob Luthi tells us the latest effort in trying to reduce traffic accidents on one busy junction.
Business owners here at the intersection tell me that they have a front row view to accidents and close calls that happen at least monthly right here on Rogers Avenue and 66th Streets. The city has now installed 2 right turn only signals to prevent those from happening. Fort Smith Police says their traffic unit analyzed data and noticed a spike in crashes for those looking to make a left turn at the busy junction. In the span of a year, the department says there have been 11 accidents. FSPD says the traffic unit, implemented just last year, has helped the city focus on traffic problem areas and address them with proper measures. Additional traffic improvements include installing all-way traffic stops, rectangular rapid flashing beacons for pedestrian safety, and various intersection enhancements. Richard Corley, a nearby salon owner, says this has been a problem going on for years.
Always, for 22 years, always. And I'm surprised they haven't done something already, you know. Kind of foreseeable, isn't it? Weekly. Before, you might see 1 or 2 a month, but now it seems like it's just weekly. And sometimes a couple a day. You know, they'll get one cleaned up and it'll happen again.
The city says that the traffic improvements are meant to help Fort Smith move closer to its Vision Zero goal, which is to prevent deaths and serious injuries on the roads by 2050. In Fort Smith, covering news where you live, Jacob Luthi, 5 News.
Well, a greater need for emergency services in LaFleur County is putting a strain on resources, but help could be on the way if voters approve a sales tax increase next week. 5 News reporter Kayla Davis sat down with the county's EMS director. She has the details on why residents voting yes is so important.
Keith Likely has worked for the LaFleur County Emergency Services Department for the last 26 years. He says the county has been capped at 3 mills or about $1 million in funding from the public since the 70s.
We have always tried to make it on what we can, but right now it's getting to the point that our call volume has doubled since 2012. From 5,000 calls a year to 10,000 calls a year.
Likely says their demand is so large they've had to add another ambulance crew, and it's still not enough.
And we are just so busy that we can't keep up, and to the point that we've had to ask for Fort Smith EMS help many, many times. And that's kind of unprecedented for us. We've never had to do that in the past.
And a significant amount of their budget is poured into those vehicles.
We run so many miles that each of our 6 frontline units puts anywhere from 70 to 100,000 miles on every unit every year. So that causes us to have to purchase new ambulances every year to keep up. But every ambulance costs $200,000 to $300,000 a piece.
4 million residents live in Oklahoma, but only 12,000 are certified as paramedics and EMTs. That's less than 1% to respond to your emergencies. The hope is a 0.3% sales tax will help fix the shortage and pay for the ambulances.
We're looking to just make pay competitive. Right now, some of our entry-level EMTs make about the same amount as somebody working at Walmart.
But it's up to residents at the poll sites to make that happen.
We've heard very good things from the entire community. Very, very little negative about it. It's an important thing. Taxes are something that people don't like to see, and rightfully so, but it is necessary to fund essential services for our communities.
Residents will vote on this issue on April 1st. In LaFleur County, covering news where you live. Kayla Davis, 5 News.
President Trump's 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum are now in effect. But what does that mean for Arkansas? Maya Ellison uncovers the facts and some possible concerns.
It's not the first time we've had tariffs on steel. Going back to even back in the 1980s, George W. Bush put tariffs on steel in the early 2000s.
Decades later, and conversations arise again, this time during Donald Trump's presidency.
It puts a 25% tariff across the board on all imported steel and aluminum.
Tariffs have been a hot topic, but those like UA Little Rock professor Michael Packo wants you to understand its effects towards the economy right here in the natural state.
We would expect that these tariffs will positively impact steel producers, and that includes those that are here in Arkansas. It also means that there are going to be higher costs to consumers, difficulties with manufacturers who use inputs of steel and aluminum into their production process.
Lexicon CEO Patrick Scheck says there's another side to note.
Could potentially affect what we do, which is fabrication of structural steel. The way the fabrication industry works is steel that is produced, which means it's taken from scrap metal and turned into I-beams, is made in the United States.
A report from U.S. Steel showed the industry generates an economic impact of $383 million in Arkansas. Mississippi County was named as one of the largest steel-producing counties in the nation, positively impacting companies like Lexicon, but affecting exporters such as Canada.
If everything goes into effect, say Canada, for instance, would experience the 25% tariff on steel and the 25% on Canadian goods for a total of 50% tariff. That would pretty much make Canadian steel unaffordable here in the United States.
In turn, boosting domestic steel production in the U.S. The impact for those at home will all come down to the cost, affecting everyday items such as cars, home appliances, and more.
You can think about the tariff as creating now two kinds of steel. There's imported steel that includes the tariff, and there's domestically produced steel that doesn't.
Well, the nation's infrastructure report card is out, and it highlights a need for major improvements, including infrastructure, which got a C. 8 of the 18 segments showed improvement. The authors credit the billions spent as part of the bipartisan infrastructure bill passed for that. The areas that underperformed tend to have large gaps in funding needs and also need to build towards better resiliency against severe weather. The report also shows that the nation's ports and railways scored the highest, and while the roads and dams are among the poorer performers. So where does that leave us here at home with infrastructure, specifically bridges? Well, heavier trucks means more wear and tear on the roads. The Coalition Against Bigger Trucks says its recent and independent study shows that raising weight limits from 80,000 to 91,000 pounds could end up costing the state over $2 billion to replace local bridges. Coalition Against Bigger Trucks, or CABT, says that potential cost is one of the highest when compared to other states. CABT, which monitors and advocates for highway safety and sound transportation policies, says if federal weight guidelines were to increase by 11,000 pounds, a number they say has been floated around in recent years, then more than 200 of Arkansas's bridges could be at risk of needing replacement. CABT also says increasing the size of trucks could increase safety hazards on the roads.
We see the decade-long trend in Arkansas from 2012 to 2022. Again, the most recent reporting year, crash fatalities have risen by 19.8%. So it's a cause for concern. Prices are going up. The crashes and deaths are going up on the roads. It's not the right time to bring bigger trucks to our roads, and there's no data to support that a bigger truck is a safer truck.
Lawmakers say the legislation is a pilot program for weight limits to see what the effects would be. The Coalition Against Bigger Trucks says they would be advocating for this issue on Capitol Hill on Wednesday at a transportation and infrastructure hearing. Well, new information continues to show powerhouse growth in Northwest Arkansas as home sales are up 14% in the second half of last year. That's according to new data in the latest Skyline report. Researchers at the Center for Business and Economic Research at the Sam Walton College of Business put that report together twice a year. There were more than 5,300 homes sold in the second half of 2024, and new construction homes accounted for more than 38% of all home sales. They say as the population of Northwest Arkansas continues to grow, it's important housing markets work efficiently to meet the demands of new and existing residents.
You would expect to see declining home sales as a result of higher mortgage rates, and that has been true broadly, except that we still have strong population growth in Northwest Arkansas, and so that's driving sales here.
The data says this was the third highest amount of home sales since that report started 2 decades ago. Well, in Van Buren, the former food pantry is shutting down after 11 years of service. 5 News reporter Jose Carranza shows us why.
With food prices climbing, pantries are struggling to keep their shelves stocked. Here in Van Buren, the former food pantry says they can't keep up, leaving families scrambling for help. The former food pantry has handed out 50,000 food boxes over 11 years, but now they're closing. The director of the pantry says many factors are driving the pantry to close, like the price of food items, cost of utilities, and their aging ministry. Disabled resident Sandra Cox says the pantry made a big difference in her life.
Right now, costs are going sky high. Groceries that I might have spent $100 on 3 months ago even are now costing me about $200.
The pantry is sending food and equipment to other local pantries like Current Church in hopes of keeping resources available for families in need. In Van Buren, covering news where you live, Jose Carranza, 5 News.
Well, FBI Director Kash Patel gave remarks this week to Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton at the Senate Intelligence Committee on illegal immigrants in Arkansas and how many arrests have been made in the state since February alone, along with the amount of drugs seized.
And every single state in this country is a border state. Arkansas is no exception. And here's something I want the American people to hear about narcotics and countering narcotics. Thousands of pounds of narcotics were seized in these 3 weeks in the state of Arkansas. Thousands, worth tens of millions of dollars. Everything from fentanyl to meth to cocaine to heroin to marijuana and more. And also including manufactured drugs. The FBI does have the biggest footprint in Arkansas.
Protesters disrupted the beginning of Senator Cotton's opening remarks today, yelling that the greatest threat is world peace is funding Israel. The hearing on worldwide threats assessment takes place every year. Well, you may remember we first introduced you to Mary Borman almost 2 years ago. She's a Fayetteville woman with Down syndrome who does it all, from swimming to modeling and advocating for Down syndrome rights. Well, now she's training to make history.
Well, you have been a busy bee since the last time we talked. What exactly have you been up to lately?
I did the Peloton, which is the best time. It was amazing. Addie Love, she just came in contact with me and asked me if I want to come over and do the class. And so I did.
And now Mary Borman is training for her biggest challenge yet.
Well, I've been training a lot.
A half Ironman triathlon. It consists of 1.2 miles of swimming, 13 miles of running, and 56 miles of biking.
I basically train over 25 hours a week.
And she loves it.
My favorite for sure is swimming. My least one is run, but I'm getting there. The only one I really don't like is bike.
Mary is hardly new to triathlons. She's been part of Special Olympics since she was 9 years old.
Started out at Ozark Valley Triathlon just being in a relay. So she was the one that did the swimming because a lot of people don't like to swim when they do the triathlon.
The following year, Mary's mom, Marie Wood, says she's added cycling.
She did a super sprint at the Tri-Fest for MS, but she used a recumbent bike. So when she finished with that, she said, I want to ride a two-wheeler. And we're going, okay. So she ended up riding a two-wheeler, and she did 3 sprint triathlons after that.
Ahead of the half Ironman, Mary will compete in the Ozark Valley Triathlon and Olympic Triathlon in Bentonville.
If she completes the Olympic one, she'll be the first woman with Down syndrome to complete that. The Olympic triathlon is half the distance of an Ironman.
With these competitions, Mary must meet the same cutoff times as all other athletes.
I want to be just like anybody else. I feel included, and also at the same time, I'm doing the same race as you. I'm doing the same distance as you.
When it comes to her why, she says it's about more than just making history as the first woman with Down syndrome to complete a half Ironman. It's to show people what is possible if they're brave and determined.
The main thing for me is that I want to finish the finish line. I want to do what everyone does before. And also, I want to go out there, do my best.
I wish the world for her. I'm really excited that she's basically done more than a lot of people have done that don't have Down syndrome. You know, she swims much better than I do. She definitely bikes farther than I do. You know, I think she's just been an inspiration, and she also shows the world that someone with Down syndrome can do a lot of things and should not be limited ever.
Well, that'll do it for your 5+ weekend wrap. And remember, you can catch all of the current top stories and news, sports, and weather all day, every day, on demand, right here on 5+, where we have everything you need to know whenever you need it. We'll see you right here next week for your 5+ weekend wrap.